Om Jnanatimrandasya Niranjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmalatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Who would like to read that, the English? Any volunteers?
I was darkest ignorance of my spiritual master opened my eyes and the spiritual for my respectful obeisance.
Okay, very good. So let's continue where we left off. Chapter 5, Karma, Yoga, Action and Krishna Consciousness. Text number 18. Quite a famous verse. Prabhupada quoted this verse many times. So it's a very nice verse to talk about. So just recapping on last week. Oh, hey, Josh. How are you?
At the beach.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear the sound.
Waves. So we're hearing now in this section about the person in transcendence who's on the path to liberation, or you could say the Krishna conscious person. So, and what does that involve? It means having full knowledge. Like the last chapter 4 was entitled Transcendental Knowledge. Chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, Transcendental Knowledge. So now we're at chapter 5. So armed with that transcendental knowledge, the servant of the Lord is acting as we heard in this last verse, text 17, with what are we engaging? We have full knowledge of who we are, who the Supreme is, what our relationship with the Supreme is, and what are we going to do? What are we engaging? And the last verse said our intelligence, our mind, faith, and refuge. Refuge means shelter. We're taking shelter of the Supreme. Taking shelter of the Supreme. Like we hear about in Krishna book, whenever the residents of Vrindavan, like the gopis, whenever they had any anxiety or fear, any problem, who did they call out to?
Krishna.
Yeah, they called out to Krishna. They didn't call out mummy and daddy or to the police or anyone else, but they called out to the Supreme. So he's the only shelter for the devotees. And at this point, when our knowledge is full, we become free from all doubts. Free from all doubts, it was mentioned. Free from all misgivings. So doubts come from a lack of knowledge, come from ignorance. That's why we have doubts. But when our knowledge is complete and then all the ignorance is gone, then there's no more misgivings, no more doubts. You know exactly what to do. And at that point, we're just like a rocket ship to getting liberated from this material world, getting free from this material world. If we engage everything we have at our disposal in serving the Supreme, and we have full knowledge and no more ignorance, no more doubts, then you're out of here. It's only a matter of time, and you're going to be completely free from the material world. So here, this verse today is 18, is talking about how the transcendentalist sees everything in this material world. What's the vision of a transcendentalist? Let's read that. So let's read the Sanskrit. So I'll read one line and you can please try to repeat. Vidya Vinaya Sampane.
Vidya Vinaya Sampane.
Brahmane Gavi Hastani.
Brahmane Javi Hastani.
Shuni Chaiva Sapakecha.
Shuni Chaiva Shapakecha
Pandita Samadashina.
Pandita Samdashna
Yeah, let's read it once more. Vidya Vinaya Sampane
Vidya Vinaya Sampane
Brahmane Gavi Hastani
Brahmane Gavi Hastani
Shuni Chaiva Shvapakecha
Shuni Chaiva Shapakecha
Panditaha Samadashina.
Pandita Samdashna.
Okay. Bob, would you like to read the English, please?
The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater, in brackets outcast.
So this is the vision of a sage, mentioned a humble sage. So this is a quality of a saintly person, a spiritually advanced person. One quality is they're very humble, or as mentioned in the word for word, the word is vinaya, gentleness. So this is the same thing, to be very humble, very gentle. A very humble person is going to be very gentle. And this is one of the qualities. The Transcendentalist has many good qualities. Actually, it said that the pure devotee of the Supreme is full of all good qualities naturally possessed by a devotee of the Lord. So this is naturally going to be there. But a pure devotee of the Lord is not going to be having a lot of bad qualities. It's going to be having good qualities. So they go side by side. The more we come closer to the Supreme, the more purified we become. Just like if you approach fire, you become fire. So the examples given, like if you put an iron rod in the fire, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and eventually the iron rod becomes like fire. How do you know the iron rod has become transformed from a normal iron rod into fire?
When it catches the fire.
Yeah, because if you touch something with that iron rod after it's been in the fire, it'll burn it. It'll even catch something on fire. If you put that in that iron rod in dry grass, it would catch on fire. That's how hot it has become. So like that, the more we are connecting with the Supreme, that's the yoga process, right? Yoga means to connect. So the more we're connected through, and in the case of bhakti yogis, the more we're chanting and the more we're hearing about Krishna and remembering Krishna and worshipping Krishna and so forth, or the more the yogi, like in dhyana yoga, Astanga yoga, they're meditating on the Supreme within their heart, like that, the yogi. So the more they're absorbed and concentrating on the Supreme, they develop similar qualities. So the Supreme is humble, so we become humble. So the Supreme is tolerant, so we become tolerant. So the Supreme is compassionate, so we become compassionate. So just due to association, and it's the sayings are like that, right? You become like those who you associate with. If you associate with a drunkard, what qualities will you develop?
Drinking.
Yeah, drinking. You'll develop the same behavior. If you associate with people that are very money-minded, what will you become like?
You start to be, money-minded.
Money-minded, and if you associate with a saintly person, what will you become like?
Saint.
You'll become like a saintly person. So, if you associate with the Supreme, with Krishna, you become like Krishna. It doesn't mean you become Krishna, but you could become like him. He has similar qualities like that. So he's very clean. So if you associate with him, then you also become clean like that. So naturally, on the spiritual path, the more we advance, we're going to develop a lot of these spiritual qualities, a lot of these good qualities. And that's mentioned in the 16th chapter, which we looked at recently. The beginning of the 16th chapter, text 1 to 3, it talks about divine qualities, and that begins with Abhayam. Where have you heard that before?
It's your name.
That's my name. So it's a quality. It's a spiritual quality. It's a divine quality. I'm not saying I'm there yet. We're still aspiring for that quality of being without fear. But we know that Prabhupada had that quality, and that was actually his birth-given name. So my teacher named me the servant of the fearless one. And why was he fearless? And it's the second part of the name, Charan.
Because he had knowledge.
Definitely because he had knowledge. Yeah.
He had Krishna on his side.
And then he surrendered.
Yeah, Krishna on his side, he surrendered. So you're all your answers are correct. And in that situation is at Krishna's feet, Charan. So Abhay Charan. So he has no fear because he is at the feet of the Lord. It means he is under the shelter, like in the last verse. He is taken shelter, the refuge. He has taken refuge or shelter of the Supreme. Imagine you're under the protection of the most strongest person in the universe. How will you feel? He's the most powerful, strongest person in the universe. You'll feel very safe. You won't have any fear, will you?
Yeah.
One time, Prabhupada was walking with some devotees at Juhu Beach, which is in Bombay, one very nice beach called, a very wide, nice, white sandy beach called Juhu. There's a temple there. So he was walking there, and they saw there was one man walking with a little dog, and then there was a big stray dog, and the big stray dog came towards the little dog and gave a big bark, woof. But the little dog wasn't afraid at all, not afraid at all. Normally a little dog would be afraid of a big dog, of course, but in this case, why wasn't the little dog afraid of the big dog?
Because he's under the shelter from his master.
Yeah, because he's under the shelter of his very powerful master, who is far superior to this big dog in strength and so forth. So the little dog wasn't afraid. In fact, the little dog was so courageous and fearless that it gave a little bark to the best of its ability, a woof, and with complete fearlessness gave a little bark. And what happened to the big dog when it gave a little bark?
Big dog is the tail under the legs and going to the different direction.
Tail under the legs and ran away. Because even though it was much bigger, but it didn't have any master, master. It's called anartha. How do you say it? Anartha. So nath means Lord or master, and anartha means no master. So it didn't have any master. So Prabhupada said to the devotees, this is our position. We are living with the perfect master. We are living with the perfect master. It's called sanatha. Sanatha. With master. We are living with the master. So very powerful master with the Supreme. And also we have our spiritual master, who's also very powerful and very fearless and everything. So doubly so, we have nothing to worry about, no anxieties, no fear like that. So naturally, a quality like fearlessness comes on the spiritual path if we take shelter, refuge of the Supreme Being. We have nothing to be afraid about. Like Prahlad, right? 5-year-old boy. And put into very dangerous situations, thrown off a cliff, put in a pot of boiling oil, fed poison food, so forth, so many, having very dangerous, deadly weapons, used against him, but he had no fear whatsoever because he was always confident of the protection of Vishnu, who he'd taken shelter of. And Vishnu did protect him in every situation, and he came out victorious. So this is a situation of devotee. So it's mentioned there in the 16th chapter in the beginning, a whole list of divine qualities. So these divine qualities automatically develop, it said automatically develop for one who surrenders to the Supreme. So that's the primary quality of a transcendentalist, that we should surrender. We should surrender to the Supreme. From this day, my Lord, I am yours. I have ignored you for so many lifetimes and tried to forget you, ignore you. But now I am surrendering to you, and I am yours from this day forth. I am yours, and you are my Lord. I am your servant. So from this day, you do with me whatever you like. I am your surrendered soul, like that. So this is the process of surrender, declaring.
Can I just ask, is anyone else having problems with their internet, or is it just me?
No.
'Cause I can't.
I was. Yes, I have.
Abhay sort of froze.
It's
No.
okay on my end. Oh, what's happening? I'm freezing, am I?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
we
on
can
my
hear you
end,
properly.
yeah.
That's okay.
But the picture is freezing, but the voice is continuing.
Voice
Is it?
is continuing. That's okay.
That's the main thing. Who cares about the picture?
Yeah, it's getting
sound
older and older anyway.
Yeah. I bet you don't see all my hair's falling out. So
That's all right. We want to see Abhay Charan. We don't want to see your
I've
body.
got a little bit left. So yeah, the main thing is the sound vibration. It's called Shabda Brahma. Shabda Brahma. Shabda means sound and Brahma means spiritual. So that's the main thing, is the Shabda Brahma, the spiritual sound. Other things is optional extras. Maybe there, may not.
I can see your like about 5 minutes, a bit later.
But can you see me clearly?
No.
Because I'm close to Jasmine. He's in New Zealand, so because in the ocean there is a lot of tornadoes happening, wind and all that.
Yeah, well, they had a big earthquake, right? And between Australia and New Zealand this morning, I heard.
Oh well, there you
New
go.
Caledonia. So actually, my wife woke me up at like 2:20 this morning, thinking that there was someone outside the house creeping around the house. So I got up and did my dutiful husband thing, give protection to the wife and all that kind of stuff, being fearless. And anyway, I got up and I was wide awake at that point, because after saying, she heard someone walking around the house or something. So I was wide awake. So I didn't go back to bed. I just stayed up and chanting and learning verses and all that kind of thing. So if I'm a bit out of it today, please excuse me. Maybe it's because I didn't have much sleep.
Okay.
But then it was at 2:20, right, that I was woken up, that she woke up with the sound. And then she found out later on at 2:20 this morning, there was an earthquake in New Caledonia or something. So that shockwave came through. So I told her it wasn't a burglar or anything. It was a blimmin' earthquake. And told me there was someone outside the house. It was just an earthquake. So they gave a tsunami warning at some of the beaches on the west coast of New Zealand.
See that the Jayanti Mataji was protected from her Nath. You are the Nath of Jayanti Mataji.
But she was a pain in the neck, because she got me up out of bed so early in the morning. She's annoying her Nath. So that's okay. It was good. I got to do more chanting and more reading. Actually, it was a blessing.
See, if she wake you up and you manage to get more chanting, you have to thank you to her.
No, so it was a blessing in disguise. It was
That's
a blessing
right.
in disguise. So I'm not complaining. I was just joking. But yeah, that's the situation. So naturally, these good qualities will develop as we come closer to the Lord. On the other hand, what we should try to do is, you should you should know what these spiritual qualities are, transcendental qualities are, and you should try to develop them. So what I'm saying is two things are going on. That if you just surrender to the Lord, try to become Krishna conscious, automatically good qualities will develop in you, okay? But on the other side, you should see that there's this whole list of qualities that Krishna likes these qualities. When he sees these qualities in a person, he's happy with them. If he sees that you're humble and you're tolerant, you're compassionate, you're, without fear and so forth, then he likes that. So that's what he wants to see. So you should be conscious of what these qualities are and try to develop them too. So it goes both ways, goes both ways. You just try to be Krishna conscious, and that's through chanting, of course, and like hearing Bhagavad Gita and serving the gurus and so forth, taking prasadam. So, and then automatically good qualities will come. But at the same time, try to cultivate these things. When you're put in a difficult situation, try to act humbly. Don't be proud. Krishna doesn't like it when we're proud. Where there's that pastime, right, the rasa dance, Krishna dancing, the gopis become proud, thinking they're the most fortunate woman in the universe. What did Krishna do?
Disappear.
He just left.
Yeah.
He's thinking, I'm not happy with their attitude. I'm not going to stay here. I'm going. See you later. He didn't even tell them. He just left. And they were devastated. And then what happened?
They're bursting, crying, and...
Yeah, they were crying and everything. Then they became humble. And when they became humble, then what happened?
He reappear again.
Then he came back, because he likes that. When you're not arrogant and proud, when you're humble, when you're thinking I'm very small and useless and hopeless, and Krishna's just so kind to be with me. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve, Krishna's mercy, and he's so kind and everything. So like that, when we're very humble and when we're very tolerant and compassionate, he likes that. So we should know what these qualities are that Krishna likes, and we should try to be like that. We should try to be like the person that Krishna likes. And that's actually who we really are. Actually, it's not we're just trying to imitate someone else's behavior. This is actually the nature or the behavior of all of us originally. Before we came into this material world, we've become conditioned with bad qualities, with illusory, Maya kind of nature. This is not we think this is just who I am, to be very proud and arrogant and cruel and angry and lusty, and no, that's not who we are. That's just a temporary covering over the pure soul. Originally, all of us as pure souls, we all are full of all good qualities. So we're just trying to get back to who we really are. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So two things: just try somehow or other to be Krishna conscious through chanting and so forth, and then also find out these good qualities or spiritual qualities and try to develop them, know what they are, and try to cultivate them. When you're put into different situations, just before you respond in the situation, before you get angry or so forth, before you respond to a particular situation that comes your way, just think, how would Krishna want me to behave in this situation? How would my spiritual master want me to react to this one? Just try to put that thought in before you act, before you respond. Because you don't have any control over the situation, do you, that you're put into in life? Do any of us have any control over the situations we're put into in life? Like, did we have any control over the situation this morning? That there's a tsunami or something, or some noise, or no? But how you respond to it. That's what we have some control over, how we respond to the circumstances. We can't control the circumstances, but we can just control. We do have some free choice how we respond to it. So that's where our power lies. That's where a lot of our power lies, and how we're going to use our free choice. And we have that free choice of how we're going to respond to a particular situation. Are we going to do it we're going to respond in a divine according to the divine qualities, or are you going to respond according to the demoniac qualities?
Depend on the situation. Sometimes, you know, the kebab people, they are knowing they're parking. Then I don't use the divine nature. I use the demonic.
So I don't understand what you're saying.
Yes, sometimes I use the demonic and sometimes is the divine, because we got a kebab people. They are
Yeah.
knowing that the car being parked there,
Okay.
and then I use the demonic nature.
Yeah.
Divine nature doesn't work with him.
Well, I mean, not necessarily every time anger is used that it's demoniac. I mean, if you're using anger for Krishna's pleasure, that's also divine. Like Hanuman, right? You should know that from Ramayana, that Hanuman got very angry. But was his anger divine or demoniac? It was divine.
Okay.
Because he used it because that Lord Ram's wife Sita had been taken away, kidnapped, and greatly offended and insulted and everything like that. So that was only the pure and right thing to do, was to get angry. If someone you love gets hurt and you don't get angry, what's that? That's not much love.
No.
You can't tolerate someone
Okay.
that you love getting hurt.
I mean, stand for the justice, you know. What is right
Of
is
course,
right.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like in the Bhagavad Gita, what is Krishna telling Arjuna to be non-violent and don't get angry? Now, the whole Bhagavad Gita
That's
is the
right.
whole purpose is Krishna's
Yeah.
trying to make Arjuna angry.
Yeah.
You know, but it's for the purpose of Dharma, for establishing the real religious principles and helping the world to get on the right track. So we have to always try to see things in that way. Is how I'm responding pleasing the Supreme, satisfying the Supreme, or is it just for my satisfaction, for my pleasure, like that? Okay, so let's read the translation.
A Krishna conscious person does not make any distinction.
Did we read the translation? We did read the translation, didn't we? Yeah, humble sages, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I'm reading the purport now.
Yep.
A Krishna conscious person does not make any distinction between species and a caste. The Brahmana and outcast may be different from the social point of view, or a dog or a cow and an elephant may be different from the point of view of species, but these differences of the body are meaningless from the viewpoint of learned transcendentalists. This is due to their relationship to the Supreme. For the Supreme Lord, by his plenary portion or Paramatma, as the Paramatma is present in everyone's heart, such as understanding of Supreme is a real knowledge.
Okay, just stop there for a minute. Just a minute, Gulshan. Just stop there. So why is the external differences of the body meaningless?
Because
why is he saying it's, whether you're black or white or a man or a woman?
So it's Paramatma is a Krishna. He's in everyone, whether it's the elephant and you, me, or everyone.
Yeah.
That is the matter. But outside body does not really. Oh, it does make a little difference there. Like, you know, animal can't read and write. We can.
But everyone, it's the soul that matters, not the body. That's why, and the soul is of the same, or a speck of the same essence as Krishna, as the divine. Yeah.
Yes, spiritually we're all equal. We're all parts and parcels of the Supreme. And that's said in the 15th chapter, text 7. That every soul is part and parcel of the Supreme. So on the spiritual platform, every soul is equal. No soul is higher or lower than any other soul. So that's equal. And also the same Supreme Lord who's divided himself to be with every living entity at the same time, simultaneously, is sitting alongside that individual soul in the heart. So that is the real way to see. That is the most significant thing. The external body, that's just a kind of dress. Like, does it really matter whether you have a blue shirt on, Bob, or a red shirt on, or a black shirt?
Of course not.
It's Bob that matters, not the shirt that Bob's wearing. So in the same way that the body itself is just like a dress. Like we say, the shirt is a kind of covering, a dress, but the body itself, the skin, this body made of bones and skin and so forth, is just another layer of dress. So the dress is not so important. And even you can take it further, whether it's the dress of a dog, or as said in this verse, or a dog eater, because there's a class of people that eat dogs, so whether it's the dress of a dog or a dog eater or a cow or an elephant or so forth, these are just different dresses. Then there's not much importance there. They're very different. The dresses are different, but we're not concerned with the different dresses. What we are concerned with is the same Supreme Lord within everyone's heart, and also all those spiritual parts and parcels of the Supreme that are there spiritually. They're all equal. So that's the equal vision there.
Some dresses are very pretty. It's a distraction.
Yeah, so that we have to be very careful with that we're seeing these differences. We're seeing one is pretty, one's not pretty. This is our bewilderment due to material desires, due to Maya. We get bewildered thinking this person is very beautiful, this person is very ugly, and so forth. And we get attracted like that to these different dresses. Some dresses we get repulsed by. Oh, I don't like that one. And another one, oh, I love this one. This one's very nice. So, but this is Maya. This is illusory. There's a nice story Prabhupada tells about this. One man was very attracted to a beautiful girl, and she wasn't really interested. She was quite spiritually elevated, this lady, and she wasn't wanting some kind of affair like that, but this guy was very infatuated with her, and she said, oh, okay, come back in a few days and come back in a few days and we'll see. And so while he was away, she took some purgatives. So that means some particular herbs or whatever that made her pass stool and vomit and that a lot. So, and she kept it in a pot. All of the stool and vomit and everything. And obviously her external body changed quite a lot after doing that for a few days. So when he came back to the door, he said, can I see such and such?
He didn't even recognize it.
Woman. He didn't recognize it. It was her. It was the same person. And she said, no, that's me. He said, no, it's not you. She's a beautiful woman. You're ugly. She was a beautiful woman. And she said, no, I've just separated my beauty. I've separated my beauty from me. And he said, would you like to see it? Would you like to see my beauty? So he said yes, and then she showed him the pot, and he, wasn't feeling so good after that. And that was a drama. Prabhupada got the devotees to do that, and that drama is called Liquid Beauty. Liquid Beauty. So that's not real beauty, is it? But we're just so bewildered by the illusion of this material energy, and taking one thing as being very beautiful, but actually it's not. Just this dead matter. Dead matter is not the real beauty. The real beauty is our loving relationship with the Lord. That's what's beautiful. And the Lord's love for us, and our love for the Lord. That's the real beauty. So yeah, we've got to watch out for that one. Getting attracted to the skin. It's called a skin disease. That's our skin disease. We've got to watch out for that.
Even some of the little dogs are so attractive. Not the big one, little one. The one lady, she came. She bring that very teacup chihuahua.
Yeah.
And then carried so adorable.
Yeah.
And there's a big dog next to that. I was just cuddling the little one. Both are so sensual.
It's very powerful, this illusory energy, this Maya. So I'm not saying it's easy.
It's not easy.
Difficult. It's not easy. I mean, and that's the main weakness of a man, for example, in the male dress. The main weakness, how Maya gets us, is through the form of a woman. So that's the main way that the material energy, Maya, entangles the soul in a man's body in the material world, is through the female form. So the man gets very attracted by the female form. So we have to be very careful. So the transcendentalist is therefore trained from the beginning of life, when there's a properly functioning culture, to control this attraction to the opposite sex. And therefore, what's the first ashram in Varnashram Dharma in the Vedic culture? What's the first ashram, the first training one gets in life for the boys?
Brahmacharya.
Yeah, brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is especially the main thing about that whole training from 5 years old to at least 20 or 25 is how to avoid the sex desire, how to maintain celibacy.
If he can't, then he become a grasta.
What's that?
If he can't, then he become a grasta.
Yeah, and that's his choice. But he's trained how to control that urge, how to control that attraction, that urge. He's trained by the spiritual master like that, and kept away from women when he's young like that. And he's taught talking about seeing, how you're going to see, like this verse is talking how the sage is seeing everything, so that the student is trained to see every woman as
a mother.
Yeah, Mataji. The brahmachari from 5 years old is taught by the guru that any woman you see, you call them Mataji. She's your mother.
Because once you see the mother, you cannot be sexually attracted.
Yeah, of course. You're gonna be very respectful to your mother. You're gonna be very protective of your mother. You're not gonna exploit your mother. You're not gonna be lusty of your mother. So they're trained like that. So, and it doesn't matter. Even the girl might be younger than the boy, but he'll still see her as Mataji, mother. It doesn't matter what age, except for the wife. So, except for one's wife, the brahmachari is taught to see every woman as a mother. Of course, you don't see your wife as your mother, but every other woman, they're trained in that way. And that way they can be free from a lot of these problems. Of course, in Western society, we're given a completely different training. They, right from a young age now, they're giving the sex education and everything. They're encouraging it and talking about it and everything like that. And you're taught to go after a woman and it's all in your face, everything. So this is in today's society, it's very difficult. Prabhupada said, he honestly said, it's very difficult to be a brahmachari in today's society. Very difficult to be a brahmachari, to maintain celibacy, to control the senses, because of the way society is set up to agitate us, to disturb the mind. So therefore we have to be, very careful. And Prabhupada created this spiritual society, ISKCON, just to help give us some shelter, some protection from all this Maya, powerful Maya, so we can have a bit of some shelter, some refuge, like we're talking about the word refuge. So some shelter, like the bhakti tree was created to give some refuge, some shelter for people. They can have some positive spiritual association and not have this disturbing kind of association.
And we got a books, and Jagannath is there, and a lot of people, they come. It's not just an ordinary restaurant.
Yeah.
When they come here, they can feel that incense books and honey and chanting beads and Jagannath.
Yeah.
Food is there, but it's not your typical Indian restaurant kind of things. So
Yeah.
they can feel the energy. And
Yeah.
this, wow. I mean, they don't know what it is. Like the Westerner comes that they don't know what it is. But
Yeah.
they say that.
Yeah.
Often they say to me, he said, wow, I said, look, this is Krishna. And they don't get it. They can feel it, they can say it, but they did not know what is it. Like the smell, like the deer get a smell from the moon there, and then he's running around. The smell I can hear it, but I can smell it, but where it is, they come from him. So they can hear, like, feel it, everything in the food, everything. They're just praising and all, and they don't know how to. But I know what is it. Krishna consciousness, the Krishna center.
Yes, so until we're completely liberated and completely free from Maya, we have to be very careful and be careful about who we associate with and what we see, especially from a man's point of view, what we see with these eyes, because as soon as a beautiful woman, the form enters into the eyes, it can be disturbing for a man. Of course, the story of Ajamil is there, where he was brought up a well-trained brahmachari, and then he became a grihasta, and he had a nice wife, and he was brought up in a Brahmin family. But one day he was doing some service for his father, and he was walking in the forest, and he saw a low-class man, like a Sudra man, embracing a prostitute, a beautiful prostitute. So that seeing that disturbed his mind, and he became agitated. And later on, he hooked up with this prostitute and rejected his good wife, and he developed all bad qualities, and he became completely degraded. He became a #1 debauchee and murderer and thief, and every bad quality you name it, he had it. So, and he was about to be taken away to hell by the Yamadutas. But then by good fortune, he named his youngest child that he had with the prostitute Narayana. So he called out Narayana when these very freaky, scary messengers of death, the Yamadutas, came to get him, that he called out Narayana, and then Lord Narayan's servants came, the Vishnu Dutas.
Is he got a son named as Narayana?
Yeah.
That's why he called his son. Yeah, the last son name is Narayana. He called it that. That's why he got. Yeah, Yamadutas came from that. Okay.
Yeah. So then that saved him from being taken to a very bad place, and then he didn't die at that point. He realized how fortunate he was to be delivered just by saying the name of the Lord. So he gave up all his materialistic ways and took shelter of a very spiritual environment up in the Himalayas called Badarikashrama, which still exists today. And he perfected himself, became more purified, and then he went back to Godhead. So, but that story tells us, how careful we have to be with association. If you walk around and you're looking at, half-naked men and women enjoying each other's company and things like that, then you're looking for trouble. So, you got to be very careful, what association you have.
And then plus what you eat as well. If you eat a prasadam, do the 16 round, that's gonna be like in a shield of Maya.
Yeah.
It can't get you.
Yeah. And on the other hand, if you eat food cooked by lusty, materialistic people, which in very passionate food, with lots of onions and garlic and very, like aphrodisiac kind of food, then you're only, looking for trouble. So there's a whole lot of things. And what you're talking about, if you listen to people talking about, on the weekend, I did this with my girlfriend, we went and had a great time and we did this and that. And then if you listen to other men talk about all nonsense things, that they're lusty activities, then that's going to fill your mind up with all kind of junk. So be careful what you listen to, be careful what you see, be careful what you eat. So that's the path of a yogi. The yogi has to practice the sama and dhamma, and that's there even in Ashtanga yoga, that yama and niyama, do's and don'ts. So, and sama and dhamma, that means sama means control the mind, and dhamma means control the senses. So you can't be a yogi unless you control your mind and control your senses. It's not possible. You just become a slave to lust and greed and anger and so forth if we don't control the mind and senses. So these are very, very important things. And later on, when we become fully purified and liberated, then our spiritual senses and mind so attracted to the Lord, then nothing will agitate us anymore. But we have to be very careful. Even an advanced devotee doesn't play around with Maya. Maya is very powerful, so we should have a healthy fear and healthy respect for the material energy. It's a powerful energy of the Lord, meant to bewilder the soul who's turned away from the Lord, rebelled against the Lord. So we have to understand that Maya is far more powerful than us. We're very insignificant compared to Maya. But even though we're very insignificant compared to Maya, that's the bad news. The good news is, what's the good news? Well, Maya's much more powerful than us. That's the bad news.
But it's not powerful than Krishna.
That's right. But Maya is not as powerful as Krishna. Krishna is more powerful than Maya. That's the good news. Therefore, what's the solution?
Well, just keep doing the chanting for Krishna, then Maya would not come.
Yeah, take shelter of Krishna.
Yeah, Krishna.
Therefore, in the 7th chapter, text 14, very famous verse, Daiviyesha Gunamai, 7th chapter, text 14, then Krishna says this material energy of mind, divine energy, is very difficult to overcome. However, if one surrenders to me, then they will cross over it. So that's our only way out, that even though it's such a powerful material energy entangling us in this material world, bewildering us, but if we surrender to Krishna, Krishna will help us to escape from this material energy because he's more powerful than Maya. So that's the only solution, to surrender to Krishna. Okay, shall we continue?
Continue reading.
Let's have someone else have a read. Deepa, do you want to have a read? You remember where he was up to? Such an understanding of the Supreme is real knowledge. Is it?
Yeah. As far as the body are concerned, that's from this time.
Yeah, such an understanding of the Supreme is real knowledge. As far as the bodies are concerned in different castes or different species of life, the Lord is equally kind to everyone because he treats every living being as a friend, yet maintains himself as Paramatma, regardless of the circumstances of the living entities.
I'll just say
Lord,
something about that. Just hang on a sec, Deepa.
sure.
It's amazing, isn't it? That then Prabhupada said many times, Krishna's our only true friend. He's our real friend. I mean, it's incredible that Krishna stays with everyone, no matter what circumstances they get into, isn't it? Even a human is a mass murderer, butcher, whatever, Krishna stays with them. Even the soul gets put into the body of a pig, a dog, a cockroach. Can you imagine? A worm and stool like that. The Krishna stays with them. It doesn't mean Krishna becomes a pig or Krishna becomes a worm, but Krishna maintains his transcendental position, but staying with that living entity, no matter what abominable situation he goes to. What other person do you think would stay with us in difficult circumstances?
No one.
Even our partners, right? Many times we see that, if the husband or wife, things, don't work out, maybe
they'll be the first one to leave.
They'll be the first one to leave. Like if the husband loses all of his money or something, the woman may go, or
even the sickness as well.
Yeah, or if they get some sickness, they may go, sometimes like that, the children may go or whatever, children or partners or whatever, friends, friends may, like when I took to Hare Krishna, my brother didn't want to see me anymore. He didn't want to see me anymore, and so many so-called friends or whatever, they don't want to know you anymore. They don't want to know you anymore. But Krishna never leaves us. Doesn't matter what we do, what we don't do. Krishna always stays with us. He's our true friend. He never leaves us. Life after life. Even after this life, even if we go to hell for a short period of time or whatever, due to our reactions for our past misdeeds in this life, then Krishna will come with us there too, to heaven, to hell, in any form, any species. Krishna always stays with us. And why is he staying with us, do you know?
Because he loves us.
Yeah, with us. Yes, yep. And I should have said, and what is he doing? What is he doing there in the heart for us?
It's
What is he doing?
Atma and Paramatma. So it's one little tiny part of his in their heart. That's his.
True, but what is his function? What is he doing there? Just look at 13th chapter, text 23. 13th chapter, text 23.
Yeah. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as an overseer and a permitter, and who is known as a super soul. Okay.
So he's the overseer, means he's the witness. So he's watching you. Everything you do, he's watching. And he's watching and he's hoping, when will you turn towards me, Gulshan?
Yes.
When will you turn? You've been turned away from me for so many lifetimes. When are you going to turn towards me? Deeper, when are you going to turn towards me? Bob, when are you going to turn back to me and love me? He's just watching us and waiting for us to, instead of we're to always turn towards Maya, try to enjoy with Maya, but when are we going to turn back to him? That our real friend. And then also he's the permitter. That means he sanctions all of our many of our desires, not all of them. I'll tell you why not all of them. But he's the permitter, means anything that we desire, in order for it to take place, he has to give permission. If he has to give permission, if he doesn't sanction it, it won't happen. So nothing can happen in this material world unless the Lord sanctions it. There's that saying, right? Not even a blade of grass moves without the will of the Lord. Have you heard that one?
Yeah,
Not
a single leaf of the tree can move without his permission.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Everything requires his permission in order for it to happen. So he's the supreme controller. He's in control of everything in the material world. And if something that we desire, if he doesn't give permission, means that we're not, what's the word? We're not, it hasn't been given to us because we're not eligible for it because of our karma. Because of our past karma, we're not eligible to get that particular desire. Whereas if you have the sufficient good karma, then you can get your desire fulfilled. But if you don't have the good karma, if you have bad karma there, then you might not get exactly what you want.
And plus, it's depend on your act. What act would you do?
Yes, that's what I mean by karma.
Act,
Karma means your acts.
Okay.
So, yeah, by your past acts.
Like there's an act too. Like, if it's a rural land and I want to be a very fertile land, and I just keep praying to Krishna, means I have to do something. I have to take the tractor and ripping out that dirt and all that, and the rain will come, and then it's gonna happen. If I sit in there, Krishna will fertile the land. He won't. The act.
Yes. Yeah. So he's there with us always, life after life, just watching us, hoping that we'll turn back towards him. And he's always trying to give us good advice. He's always trying to give us good advice. Have you heard of something called conscience? Does everyone know what conscience is?
Yeah.
What's conscience? If someone was going to ask you, what does conscience mean? What's it about? What would you say?
Awareness.
Now it's like your intention or your
It's
your
the
intention.
intelligence, the awareness.
Conscience is like an inner voice.
But the inner voice says so many things, some of them irrelevant.
Yeah, but there's more than one voice.
Okay.
There's the one voice is the mind, one voice is the intelligence, and one voice is the super soul. And that is conscience, is the super soul, is the voice of the super soul, trying to give us good guidance, trying to give us good guidance. I remember when I was young, very young, and watching my father shoot animals. And a voice in my heart just told me, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is not good. Now I realize that was the super soul in my heart trying to give me good guidance, telling us, or and another way too, when I first met a devotee, a voice said, you should just stay with this person. You should just be with this person. So giving us good advice, don't do this, do this. So there's different voices there. Unless we're, very conscious ourselves, we don't really know where these different voices are coming from. But yeah, there are three different voices at least: the mind, intelligence, and then the super soul. And of course, if you've got some ghosts with you, then there's going to be more voices again. So there can be quite a few voices there pulling us in different directions like that. But yeah, the Lord is he's watching us, he's trying to give us good guidance, but generally we refuse to follow his guidance. And even though we refuse to follow his guidance, how does he react to that? How do we react to it? If you try to give someone good guidance and they don't follow it, if you did it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, what eventually would happen? You just forget about them. I give up on this person. Or you might get angry, right? You nonsense, you rascal. I put so much work into trying to help you, and this is what you've done. You just rascal. I hate you. So either the person might get angry or the person will give up. I give up.
But this is the difference between us and Krishna. Krishna never get angry.
That's it. But in Krishna's case, even though we don't follow his instructions, he doesn't become angry and he doesn't leave us. He just always hoping, when will you turn towards me? I love you so much. When will you turn towards me? Please, like that. And then we have these childish desires, like the child says, Mommy, Daddy, can you buy me this? Can you give me this? Can I have this? I want this new toy, this new phone, this whatever. So we're like that, I want this woman, I want this man, I want this job, I want this house, I want this car. So we're like that, and God in our heart is just fulfilling our desires as we deserve. Fulfilling our desires as we deserve. But in the end of the day, he's just hoping that when you're going to give up all these petty desires. That's why he says at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, 1866, which was regarded as the essence of Bhagavad Gita, 1866, Savadaman prachajama mikam shonam bhaja. Aham tvam savapopebhyo mokshishami masuchaha.
Abandon all variety of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear.
Abandon all varieties of religion doesn't just mean abandon being a Christian, a Hindu, a Muslim, or whatever, but all our so-called duties and all these so-called very important things that we think is the main thing in our life, all of our occupations and obligations and duties and responsibilities, social ones and national ones and family ones and so forth, and we put everything first, and God is like either last or nowhere.
Oh, end of the list.
He's the end of the list,
Yeah, just
or not even on the
tick.
list.
Okay, wife tick, house tick,
Yeah.
and then the car tick, everything tick. Temple all see for a time.
No.
Yeah, so this is the situation. So Krishna says, just drop all that, just love me, have a loving relationship with me, and then I'll solve all of your problems. I'll get you out of all these difficulties. Yeah, so this is the point, that he's our real friend. He's our real friend, and he's with us in our heart, and he's in everyone's heart as their real friend. So he's not only my friend and not only your friend, but he's everyone's friend. He loves everyone equally, and that's what Prabhupada's saying here, that he loves everyone equally because we're all his children. You'll never get a parent that, if they have a whole heap of children, you're never going to have a parent that says, oh, I like this child of mine, but I don't like this child. This one is my, my best child, and I don't like this one,
Yeah.
So a parent loves all the children equally. That's natural. So the God is the supreme parent, supreme father. So he loves all of his children, unconditionally. Doesn't matter what they do, but he loves everyone unconditionally. He's always the friend. Just like the parent is always the friend of the children, no matter what they do. Like that. Okay. Deepa, do you want to read a little bit more?
Yeah.
So back to 15th chapter, text 18.
5:18, yeah.
Yeah. The Lord is Paramatma.
The Lord as Paramatma is present both in the outcast and in the Brahmana, although the body of a Brahmana and that of an outcast are not the same. The bodies are material productions of different modes of material nature, but the soul and the supersoul within the body are of the same spiritual quality. The similarity in the quality of the soul and the supersoul, however, does not make them equal in quantity, or the individual soul is present only in that particular body, whereas the Paramatma is present in each and every body. A Krishna conscious person has full knowledge of this, and therefore he is truly learned and has equal vision. The similar characteristics of the soul and supersoul are that they are both conscious, eternal, and blissful. But the difference is that the individual soul is conscious within the limited jurisdiction of the body, whereas the supersoul is conscious of all bodies. The supersoul is present in all bodies without distinction.
So what's equal and what's not equal? What's equal?
The souls are equal.
The souls are equal, yes. The
Super
souls are equal.
soul.
And okay, the souls are all equal. We're all parts and parcels of the Supreme. But what's equal between the individual souls and the Supreme Soul? What's equal? And then what's not equal between us, the individual souls, and the Supreme Soul? What's not equal? And what's equal? Some things are equal. between us and God. And some things are not equal. So what are those?
Soul is equal, super soul is not equal.
And we don't have full control.
This
Yeah, like it's mentioned, he has control of all the bodies, but we only have control of this body. We're only conscious within this body, but he's conscious of all bodies and control of all bodies. So that's a difference. We're only present in this one body, but he's present in everyone's body. So that's not equal, is it?
No.
It's not that they're different super souls. Don't think like that either. It's the same super soul. It's the same supreme soul divided himself into all those different bodies. It's the same. Just like it's the same sun that shines in Africa and New Zealand, Australia, America, China, whatever like that. It's the same sun. And one interesting example is given, which is really nice, is if you have, say you have 100 pots of water. Now the sun is shining on those 100 pots of water, and so there's a reflection there. So what are you seeing in the reflections in those pots of water? What are you seeing?
the same one sun.
The same one sun, but it looks like it's 100 suns. If you had 100 pots, it looks like 100 suns. Or 1,000 pots, it's 1,000 suns, but it's only one sun. But it's just reflected into all those different pots, the same sun. So even though the sun is a material object, it can divide itself like that. So what to speak of the supreme spiritual being, then he can divide himself, the same supreme person, divided into unlimited places at the same time. So it's not different super souls, it's only one super soul, but divided like that. So that's a difference, that's one difference, that we're only in one body, but he's in everyone's body. But what's the same between us and the super soul?
The spiritual essence.
We are the same spiritual quality. That's what's the same. God is spiritual and we are spiritual beings. And then he further gives more detail and he says God is eternal and we are eternal. God is full of knowledge and we are full of knowledge. And he is full of bliss and we are also full of bliss. So that is the same. That is the same thing. Eternal knowledge and bliss. So qualitatively, we're the same as God, but quantitatively, we're different. He's the greatest and we're very tiny. He's all pervading and we're not. He's omnipresent, we're not, like that. So there are things that are similar, the same, and there are things that are different also. So one should know both of those things. See there it says the similar characteristics of the soul and the super soul are that they are both conscious, eternal, and blissful. But the difference is that the individual soul is conscious within the limited jurisdiction of the body, whereas the super soul is conscious of all bodies. So quantitatively, we're different. Qualitatively, we're the same, but quantitatively, we're different. Does that make sense? Would anyone else like to say anything about that? This kind of vision, do you think, what's the value of having this kind of vision, of seeing everyone as the same spiritually?
And there's nothing to discriminate between one and the other.
So if you're not having any discrimination, that means how will you be relating to everyone?
They've got the same soul as, in everyone. So if you realize that,
Is it to do with being humble?
That you see everyone as Krishna conscious.
Yeah, because humble means we're the servant. Yeah, humble means we're the servant. So we're gonna render service to all the living entities. And how are you going to render service to all the living entities?
just be humble.
How are you going to serve an ant or a dog or a tree or a fish?
By respecting it and valuing its life.
Yeah, I mean, mentally, you'll see, okay, this is my spiritual brother, spiritual sister. There's a soul there, and also the Supreme Lord is also within their heart. So intellectually and everything, you're doing like that, but then physically or practically, what would you be doing? What actions towards them will you do?
Make sure don't kill them.
Yeah, you won't kill them unless of course it's in a vegetable body or whatever, and you want to take it, I mean, kill the body and offer it to Krishna. I mean, I'm doing that at the moment quite a bit, growing the vegetables and then killing them, and then the body, and then offering them to Krishna. But that's beneficial for them. That's beneficial for them that they're getting offered to Krishna. And, we have to eat something. So one living thing is food for another. That's the law of nature. Can't avoid that. But it's different because we're offering those things to Krishna in sacrifice. So those living entities are benefited by their bodies being offered to the Lord. But yep, so you're not killing them, but what else? What other ways you can act towards other living entities if you have that equal vision?
You're talking about treating them as equal?
Yeah, intellectually treating them as equal, but I mean, how do you treat an ant as equal, or a dog as equal, or a tree as equal? Practically, what are you going to do? What's your relationship going to be like?
Value and protect.
Value and protect, yeah.
Recognize.
What's something very powerful that you can actually do, a physical thing you can do with your body, with your senses, that can benefit all the living entities?
To chant.
What's that?
Is it to chant?
Yeah. If you chant to the ant, to the dog, to the tree, that soul benefits so much. That soul, you're liberating those souls by loudly chanting. You have to loudly chant, audibly chant to them. So when you're walking somewhere in nature or to work or whatever like that, walking down the road or in the park or at the beach or whatever, then chant, sing or chant japa or something loudly, the Hare Krishna mantra, and you're acting as the best friend. You're acting as the best friend to all those moving and non-moving living entities that you're passing by. They're all benefiting.
So it's like
I'll tell you how powerful the chanting is, right? There's one of the processes called Harinam Sankirtan. Specifically, that means when devotees go onto the street and with the drums and the cymbals, and they chant Hare Krishna loudly and singing and dancing and chanting, they go down the street and they chant, right?
Yep.
Now, all those people and everyone there that hear that chanting, they benefit
because
by hearing the mantra.
By hearing.
Yeah. But that's not it. I heard something else from Prabhupada later on that just blew my mind even more. Not only the people that were there, when you passed by chanting, the people that were there, they benefited by hearing you chanting. But that loud chanting of the mantra has purified that street that you walked down while you were chanting. So anyone else that walks down that street, including the dogs and people or whatever else that walks down that street after you've finished chanting, like it might be an hour after it's all finished, or the next day or next week, then they get even benefited even then. They weren't there when you did the chanting, but the whole street has become like a tirtha, a holy place, is purified because the holy name was being chanted there at a particular day and time. But that whole place is like spiritually uplifted, purified. So that's a way that you can tangibly act as the friend of all living entities, as an equal, seeing them equally by loudly chanting. And then you're cleansing them, purifying them of all sinful reactions and awakening their love for the Supreme. Pretty far out, huh?
Wonderful.
So as much as possible, we should try to chant. As much as possible, we should try to chant. Yeah. And that will also help us to remember our relationship with Krishna, that we're his, like Bob was saying, humble servant, that we're his humble servant. And he loves all of his children, and we should also love them too. They're our brothers and sisters. And how are we practically going to show our love for them is by chanting. There's not much else we can do. I mean, personally, how many of your brothers and sisters out there can you help? How many humans can you help make them happy? How many animals?
Not really.
Can you save all the whales? Can you save all the...
You're talking about by chanting?
Can you save all the orangutans? Now they're worried about the orangutans. I see so many posts about orangutans.
Deforestation.
Yeah. Can you save all the trees that have been cut down? Save all the orangutans? Save all the whales? Save all the what's that country now? There, all the people are starving.
Ethiopia.
Yeah, that's there, but there's another one, a big one now.
Sudan.
Huh? No, there's another name that keeps coming up. The people there.
Is it an African country?
Yeah, it's an African country.
Not Somalia.
Not Somalia. It's pretty much every country people are suffering, but there's one particularly they're focusing on at the moment. Some big problems happening there. Anyway, you know, how are you going to help all those people? But see, our approach is completely different. We try to focus on broadcasting the glories of the Lord and knowing that will please the Lord and knowing that he's present everywhere and that he's present everywhere. So wherever we go, we can please him by chanting and he'll be pleased. And because he's present everywhere, if he's pleased, then everywhere will be benefited. The whole world, the whole universe, whole material world, spiritual world, everything will be uplifted if he's happy because he's present everywhere. So, and we can connect with him anywhere because he's everywhere. We can connect with him in Newcastle or in New Zealand or in Africa or wherever we are. And we can, and the best way to please him is by chanting, and that's said in every scripture. And in Kali Yuga, that's the best process to please him is through chanting. And when he's pleased, then if he's pleased, then and only then will the whales benefit, will the orangutans benefit, will the trees benefit, the people in Africa and Australia benefit, and the people that have COVID virus benefit, you know, and the people that are dying benefit and so forth. You know, so that's the process of Krishna consciousness. Just by that one action of pleasing Krishna, by chanting, we can act as the best friend for all living entities, by pleasing Krishna. Very powerful process. Very powerful process. So that devotee might not seem like they're doing very much. Oh, they're just chanting a bit over there in the corner. They're just doing a bit of chanting there. They're not doing very much. But we're not really in the know. If that person's chanting is very pure, very nice, and Krishna's pleased, then if Krishna's happy, then everyone will get the benefit of that pure chanting. The only thing, we should try to chant with as much purity and love as we can muster. It's not easy to chant purely, to chant with pure love, but we should try to put as much love as we can. At least we should try to concentrate. We should try to chant attentively, even if we can't say, I chant with love. Actually, we don't chant with love. We don't have any love for Krishna, but at least we should try to chant with concentration, with attention, at least that much. That's the beginning of love. That we want to love Krishna, therefore, we're trying to concentrate our mind on him. We're trying to focus on him. I don't love Krishna now, but I want to love Krishna. So we should try our best to concentrate, to absorb our mind, and Krishna will be pleased. And Krishna will be pleased. And that's the way we can develop equal vision, by trying to connect everyone in Krishna consciousness. That's the real equal vision. How we're showing our love for every living thing.
So I just share a little story. Just yesterday, I because it's been a year since the Ratha Yatra, and there's another one brewing in a month's time. And yesterday I went to the museum just to organize things, and I went to the Newcastle Museum, and I hadn't been there since last year. But so the chap who opened the door, because they were not open yet when I went, and he came and he unlocked the door for me, and I said, oh, I recognize you from last year, a year ago, and I remember your name. And he looked at me and he went, oh, Juggernaut, I saw you on the news. I saw the event on the news. And I thought, wow, because for him to have remembered it, and for him to say Juggernaut, and I thought, that's just amazing.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So that soul's blessed, so fortunate.
Yeah.
Fortunate.
Yeah. So it was really good. Yeah. Just wanted to share that because I was quite blown away by it.
Yeah, so that's a practical demonstration of how we can act with that equal vision, by trying to broadcast Krishna's glories to everyone. Try to connect everyone with Krishna as best we can. That's a real manifestation of how it works.